What about Sean commenting on the song?
Bum, 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 bum. Welcome to the podcast. Jeff's back.
Crew's back. Boom.
Most of the crew. Patty's out of town. Patty's on vacation. We're happy that Patty gets to rest this week.
No rest, dude.
So,
he went to Disneyland.
Disneyland with Leo.
With Leo.
Which would be awesome.
Yeah.
But
I don't know, man. I think
Disneyland with the toddler.
All I'm going to say is God bless them. Good for them.
Yeah.
Because, man, taking one that little, really difficult. Like, I'm thinking about taking, because he and Graham are, like, almost to the day, same age.
And then I feel like Allie and Nathan both love Disney, too. So their children
for
in Disney World, too.
Yeah.
So
I think Leo just got to go.
Disneyland.
Leo just got to go with us.
Awesome. Then we got John on with us today.
John.
Big John.
You got the music?
The big bad John.
No.
People still bring that up.
Yeah.
Somebody brought that up on like Sunday,
I think Eric Gateline. He was like, you got to play Big Bad John.
Big Bad John. I'm surprised they even know. Well, they probably don't know that song or Jimmy Dean, the guy that sang it.
Either.
I didn't either.
From Jimmy Dean Sausage.
He's a sausage guy.
Yeah, he is the same guy.
Those were awesome commercials back in the day, the Jimmy Dean sausage ones.
Dude, what about Sean trying to like imitate me? Yeah.
I'm telling you,
wears his golf shirt and so like
awesome.
As soon as the podcast started, Sean was over like this on his phone. I'm like, what is that, dude? I guess I do that.
He notices things.
Yeah, 100%.
That's hilarious.
It was funny. And then he commented on the song.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the day before he was throwing all kind of zingers in there.
Out. That's
zingers and he said, "Get over here, Jethro. Hold up this transmission." He said, "It ain't gonna hold it up itself." You think he asked me to hold up that transmission?
No.
He was throwing all kinds of them in there. He said Jethro about 20 times.
That's funny, dude.
It was awesome.
Oh, man, I'll throw that dude on his head, man. I need to do that. Hey, we just need to go work out, man, since you tried to.
Yeah.
It used to frustrate him to death, man, when we wrestle. Because Sean's great, man. He's such a, you guys heard me say, I mean, he could have easily been an Olympic level guy.
Yeah.
If he would have, wanted to pursue that. But he and I used to work out, man. And I had this little lat throw that I'd always get on him, or an arm throw. He knew it was coming, man. He couldn't stop it. But then when he would ever this is where he would know that he could get me, and he knew it, is that if he ever crank the pace up to the pace that they wrestle at his level, like I'm completely out, dude. Because I'm just like, I couldn't even, I'm like, stand still, dude. I can't catch you. Yeah. He's awesome, man. I'm telling you, man, still is, could be, but he was a great wrestler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like people don't realize he was world level. Like he won world medals.
Yeah.
Yeah. He would go internationally, wrestle in tournaments and win or place in those tournaments. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's
good, dude.
Really neat.
You got a great heart for obviously the church and the students. He's helped with them a lot, but great heart for missions too.
Yeah. And you had Cody and the team. I mean, like they were all here, man.
And everybody. I don't know that we've had 5 on the podcast before around the table. So,
but not. But you didn't have Ryan.
She was here.
Oh, she was, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was beside me. She just didn't say as much
because she somebody sent a question in. Did you see the question?
For today?
Last week? No, last week. I think Rand was the one that sent it in. Does Rand have to be on the podcast?
I might have missed that.
Yeah, that was a question that was
submitted
hilarious. Last week.
No, I missed that.
Yeah, it was awesome. I thought, man, we got a question. Oh, never mind.
It's Rand.
Let's see.
Does Rand have to do the podcast on Tuesday?
Yeah.
Name, Rand.
Yeah. She even signed.
That's awesome.
Normally, people don't sign their names.
Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Nice. Well, we brought John on since we were talking about money this week. Bring in the money guy for the money
guy
conversation.
Money.
The message.
Did you sing that when you saw
49.
Trump Tower last week in New York?
When I saw who?
When you saw Trump Tower, did you sing that?
I did not.
Really?
No. Well, I was just, dude. I was so. Thank you for bringing up New York. I was so amazed by New York that I couldn't be my funny self. Because you guys know I'm like hilarious.
So
funny.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hilarious.
Julie always like, man, if you're, thank you. Yes. When you try to be funny, you're not funny at all.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you're right. But no, I was just like, it was just crazy, dude. Like never been there. Really did feel like kind of a Gomer Pyle, kind of like, man, just crazy, man. I mean, it was And I would always say before that, Julie would say, man, like I'd really like to I'd love to go to the city with you, New York City. And I'm like, like I just don't get it. Like I don't know why you would want to go there, crowded, whatever. Like I don't get it. And she was
the
like,
energy.
yeah, and that's exactly what it was. Like we got there late, like 2:30 in the morning, because our flights were delayed. Man, flying today is so ridiculous,
Terrible.
But anyway, so we got there, finally got to the hotel. We're going to get up next morning like 8 o'clock, so we're going to get like 6 hours of sleep. And that don't work for me at my age anymore. Like I got to get 8 hours, dude. So, but got up and went straight to a diner that like you would, like a stereotypical New York diner.
Best cup of coffee.
Man,
Did it have one of those, did it have one of those signs?
Congratulations.
In the corner, in the corner of a big, huge building
Yeah.
is this diner. And you go in this little door, and like there's the typical bar with bar stools and some these little wooden. It was so good. It was so cool. It was so great way to start. Coffee was great.
Better than Waffle House?
No, man, no. But environment for sure. You know what I'm saying? But the next morning, I discovered there was a Starbucks just right around the corner of our hotel. Like, I mean, not even 50 feet. So I went over there and got my coffee, and I looked at
In New York, you went to Starbucks?
Well, absolutely, dude.
Comfort
For
of
some good coffee.
comfort of
Really?
home.
See,
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't know anything. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I didn't know where to. There probably is some great coffee.
And honestly, you could be anywhere in Manhattan and just get on your phone and type in coffee, and it'll pop up 18 coffee
Yeah.
shops
Yeah.
within like a
So I went
100 feet.
so I went Save because I knew what to order and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
But then I just looked at Mark Clemens and I said, dude, like, what is it? I mean, like just the energy, man, is just crazy.
Yeah.
And the people are just buzz, and you got all. I mean, it's just, and I was just so amazed at the architecture. Like I would have done an architectural tour if we had time, because I think the architecture is so cool. Because there's so many huge buildings, and then you start thinking, are there really that many people that live in those and work in
crazy.
those?
Yep.
And if there are, like, how do you get that many people in such a small area? It was just, man, overwhelming for sure for a couple of days. And we went by Trump Tower where Trump actually lives.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how they've got all that blocked off. The pylons are up now. You can't really get close. You can't get to the door and all this kind of stuff. And we were a block off Central Park where our hotel was. And it was awesome, man. And our choir did an amazing job. So it was great, dude. I loved it. And again, but I kept thinking about, like we were talking about before we turned the cameras on, like I wonder what the Christian, like what's God doing in New York City? Where's that? What's happening in New York City? What's the movement of God happening here? It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Because I mean, honestly, and again, it may be where we were, but I didn't run into people that were mean, rude, typical stereotypical New York City kind of. I mean, everybody was very nice, and I mean, it was just a really, like, I really want to go back and spend about a week, doing some tours and seeing some things.
Yeah.
It was a cool place.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now that you've seen it, these are some of the stats that I give when like talking about leading up to the trip and why go to New York. There's over 800 languages spoken in New York City.
Yeah.
I didn't even know there were 800 languages.
100%.
But yeah, it's crazy.
But you know what?
8 million people in the city, like the actual metro city, in the metro area, 22 million people.
Like, just step on the street corner and to hear English is rare.
Yeah.
Because I did notice that.
Yeah.
People talking and it was, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot more, but
Just the number of people.
22
man,
million people in the metro area. It's the largest metro area in the world.
So what would metro be considered? Just Manhattan? See, again, I don't know the geography of New York City, because New York City is not just Manhattan.
Right.
Right.
I think New York City would be Manhattan, which that was what, 8 million?
Because you got this
The
like
metro area, I would think, would include all
metro
the
would be
boroughs,
like
though.
Queens and
yeah.
Flushing and all that. So that's when you get into that side. That's when
Interesting you say that, because I didn't realize. Like, I was reading about the subway system, and the subway system, dude. You know about being enamored and amazed.
It's crazy.
Crazy, and we rode it the whole time and loved
It's incredible.
it, except for the escalator being broke. But anyway, it's a whole nother story. but just enamored by and amazed at how did that happen? How did they build all this? How did they get all this steel underneath here?
Right.
And still the city, like, so somebody's got to explain that to me, right? I'd love to know all of that, but but I didn't realize the subway is based on the boroughs.
Mm-hmm.
Like it services the five boroughs of
Mm-hmm.
New York City. So it talks about like Queens, like downtown, midtown, uptown,
Mm-hmm. Bronx, Brooklyn.
Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens. Like I didn't realize all that was areas that, so
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Crazy.
the financial district was way down here on, and like I guess what they call old downtown.
Wall Street, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then I guess we stayed in Midtown, and I guess Uptown is on the other side of. But man, if Midtown wasn't Uptown, I can't imagine what Uptown's like, because Midtown was pretty swanky, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, we were pretty close to Fifth Avenue, and of course we walked a lot just to get around, and so we got to see all the stuff, and it's just crazy, man.
Yeah.
Like it's just nuts to think how some of those places survive, how they stay open, how they do business.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's really cool.
Yeah. So you went up to obviously to see the choir. They had their concert up there in Carnegie Hall.
Yep.
What was that like? How'd the choir do?
Man, it was, our hotel was a block from, was just on one end of a block. Carnegie Hall was on the other end of the block. And so I didn't even know it was there, because I guess they're doing some renovation, remodeling on the outside of it. So they've got it kind of covered that you would think it's just another building.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But when you walk in it, then you kind of see, oh, this Carnegie Hall, So it's really, it was underwhelming on the outside, but once you get inside, you kind of see it. But it really was much smaller than I thought it would have been.
Yeah.
So to think about some of the performances that have been at Carnegie Hall, like it would be like there was an old poster in the back, because I came through Patty kind of brought me through the backstage area to surprise the team. And so you're seeing these old posters and like the Rolling Stones and the Beatles and like all these people performed at Carnegie Hall.
Bee Gees?
Yeah.
The Bee Gees. I don't know, maybe.
Probably. They'd have to.
Yeah.
The
But I'm
acoustics
like,
would be incredible.
what a place to see people like that, because like you're literally not a bad seat in the whole place, But anyway, our choir did an amazing job, man.
Yeah.
It was a great concert. And I thought this is something they did on a regular basis. But hearing Mark describe it, I think the guy's name's Phil Barefoot. It seems like the guy's name is. But anyway, it's the guy that has produced our CDs that the choir does every other year. They've done 7 of them, I think. And so this guy actually put this thing together
Oh, yeah.
and said, hey, I'm going to do a Christian concert in Carnegie Hall, and I want to get choirs pulled together that I've worked with in the past, and get Travis Cottrell was there, and a lady that sings with Brooklyn Tab, she was there, and another lady was there, and I mean, it was unbelievable, dude.
Yeah.
It was a great worship experience. Like, started out thinking, okay, this is going to be a great concert. And you see it flow pretty quickly into just a great worship experience. And we had some people in front of us that were flat getting it.
Yeah.
And it was just so. And one lady was like, she had to be in her late 80s, but man, she was all in it, bro.
Yeah.
And it was fun just to watch her worship, and so it was good, man. Our choir did an
awesome.
amazing job,
Yeah.
and very, very surprised that we were there.
Yep.
And Caruth was awesome, because Mark was like, when I first walked in, he was like,
Yeah.
and it was, I mean, like it took him a little bit to kind of come around, because he told me, he said, look, he leaned over to somebody and said, that looks like Jeff Pratt. And then it was like, so it was pretty surprising. So
I realize it.
it was
Yeah.
great. We all got to eat together at Carmine's, a great Italian restaurant down in Times Square.
Yeah.
And it was kind of family style. And so we had a couple of tables, and
That's
Was
awesome.
it good?
man, it was unbelievable.
I've never been there before. I know it's like a
Dude.
big tour. They have several locations, I think,
Yes.
around New York, but
Yeah.
the Times Square
We got two,
location's
Yeah.
the spot that a lot of people try to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was great, dude. Like the food was,
You can't get in there like without a reservation. I don't
that's
think
right.
you have to
No.
wait for hours.
And we kind of thought that, we're like, oh man, but dude, food was, lasagna was probably some of the best I've ever had. And again, family
Better
style.
than Demas's?
No, 100%.
Did
Yeah.
you get the fried zucchini?
I did not.
I know that's a random thing. Their appetizer. So
At Carmine's?
Yeah.
Really?
Phenomenal.
Look at that,
And they
dude.
literally, they bring it out on a plate this big and it's stacked up. that
Yeah.
high.
Yeah. It's crazy
Like
how much food
oh,
they
man.
bring you.
So good.
So we had that. We had a shrimp dish. We had a pasta dish. So we had, like 4 or 5 entrees, and then we just passed it around, dude.
Yeah.
It was great, man. It was. Now you can have Times Square, bro. Like
It's a lot.
I saw it.
You want to see it.
You want to see it?
But just because
Yeah.
we've grown up seeing it on
Yeah.
TV all of our life, but you can have that place, dude.
Yeah.
Like it was more of the typical New York City that I thought,
Yeah.
okay, this is probably what it is. But you know what? I thought? It's no worse than downtown Nashville on
Yeah,
a
that's what I
Friday
was
night.
just thinking.
It's true.
I mean, different genre, but not different.
Right.
It's kind of become that. So, I mean, I don't want to go down there either on Friday night.
Now, if you going around Christmas time, it's beautiful. I think it's worth seeing, but it's like probably double, if not more, the amount of people.
Really?
Like on any of the side streets, it's as packed as it is on Times Square.
You're kidding.
It's nuts.
Really?
Yeah.
When
Because they
it's
do a
that
lot of
cold?
like Macy's lights up, and they've got lights on different
Rockefeller Center.
Rockefeller Center, the big
Yeah.
tree.
Yeah.
There's ice skating, like outdoor ice skating in a couple places.
Wow.
So it's really cool, but woo,
Crowded.
it's a lot of people.
Huh.
Yeah, it's
Well, I was kind of wondering what's the best time of the year to go to New York City. Maybe the summer is. 'Cause it's not as crowded.
It's hot. A lot of people go in the fall and the winter, though.
Yeah. It was definitely hot,
yeah.
but it definitely was not. Yeah. I didn't feel the crowd as much until we got to Times Square.
Times Square, yeah.
Yeah.
But Miss Elizabeth Green was there with him.
92
she was
years old.
92 years old.
Just all about New York City, man.
She was so excited. That was
she been
one
before?
of her bucket lists.
I don't think so.
I don't know if New York was the bucket list or if Carnegie Hall was, but she was so excited.
And did such a great man. Just looking, me sitting there watching the choir, watching her
Yeah.
just worship and have the time of her life was amazing.
Yeah. She was talking to somebody the Wednesday night before when she was helping with VBS and said, I just hope I make it till next week so I can go.
Oh.
She was,
And we just got, our people have such a love for each other because watching a couple of our ladies just really take care of Miss Elizabeth and make sure everything, she was fine, and she got to do a lot of things, and it was really cool.
she did. There was one time I think she didn't quite get off the subway in time, so she had to
they said
go down an extra stop.
She'll tell you the story, man.
Yeah.
God sent her 2 angels.
Yeah.
She really believes that, and because she was telling me that she saw the door closed, she just didn't quite get there in time.
Yeah.
And she just rode the subway and kept on going. Dude, can you imagine being in that group watching Miss Elizabeth just take off?
No.
Like, no,
Yeah.
like, because that's not, you're not going to get up and run down to the next stop,
Right.
But she had these 2 girls from Sweden or Switzerland, I don't remember which one it was, that stayed with her. They got on the other train, came back, and the people were, so
That's awesome.
it all worked out.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good trip. Hearing Mark talk about it in the choir, they had a great time. It sounds like the concert and everything went great.
It was awesome.
And then Sunday night, I know we still hadn't got to the message and we're pretty far into it, but Sunday night we had our training on, it was our deeper leadership equipping training, kind of getting people that are serving some equipping with that, and then other people plugged in. Anything you want to mention on that or how that went?
Chris John was there leading a session as well. Of course, all you guys were. I think it was great, man. It's the first time we've done something like that in a long time here. Just kind of an overall group leader training. So I thought it was great. I thought we had really good attendance. And I think it's a great thing to kind of give us a baseline to build on.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think that's what we have to do each year. But I was very pleased with how it went, the energy of our people there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was a great kind of connect the dots kind of evening with allowing people to see how does opening the door on Sundays, how does being in the kids' room, changing a diaper, teaching a kids lesson, how does that connect to our overall mission to make disciples, for people to see kind of the why behind the what that they do, which is great. So
Absolutely.
Loved it.
We had some good conversation from that of how we can kind of keep that ball rolling, do another one in the future, and maybe change some things, do it better. And then just how to care for our people well that are serving. So I think a lot of fruit came from it. So it's good stuff. Well, John, thanks for joining us, Money Man. I call you the Money Man. I know we still have kind of a mixture of people who don't really know what the people who work here do and an understanding of just our staff culture. I think you've probably done it before, but why don't you share with us? You're the executive pastor.
Yes.
But what does that mean here at Emmanuel? What do you do?
Yeah, it's a great question. I get that a lot, and jokingly say nobody really knows, but we do know, and I know what I do. It's really important to me, and feel like it's just the way the Lord's gifted me. But yeah, I help to oversee and develop our staff team. Also oversee operations, so that would be finances, properties, personnel, and along with
going
missions.
on there these days.
Yep, there's a little bit going on there these days. A little bit going on the property, but going super well. But yeah, that's kind of my buckets. Would be staff, operations, and missions.
Yeah, it's great.
Finances.
Yeah,
Is that in? Do you lump that into operations?
Yeah, operations. Yes, finances, properties, personnel.
HR. Yeah.
Nice.
It's a big bucket. And it's a very, very important bucket.
Yeah,
Like somebody's got to be keeping their eyeball on that stuff,
for sure.
and that's important to us.
Absolutely. So speaking of finances, getting into Psalm 49, we talked about the message title was Busting Through the Eye of the Needle. So as we get into this, you mentioned it's coming from the sons of Korah or the Korahites.
Yeah.
We were talking some before, and you said you didn't quite get into that as much as you would have liked.
Yeah, it's funny when I write my notes out, like I'll see things like that, and I'll kind of nerd out about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think, like probably people don't really care about that. It's just like get to the stuff. But in Psalms, you'll always see, like this one it said written by the sons of Korah, that you'll see it on top. And so the Korah was a Levite during the time of the Exodus, and his dad was Kohath. So he was the father of what they call the Kohathites in the Levitical tribe. And so they were responsible for the Kohathites were responsible for caring for the items in the tabernacle. So like the Ark of the Covenant, the candle, like the other type things that were precious in there. They were responsible to care for those things.
Okay.
And so you see that in King David's life when King David decided to bring the Ark of the Covenant into Jerusalem when he became king over Israel and all of Israel, and then he wanted the God's presence, the Ark of the Covenant, in Jerusalem, which it actually was in a private residence, which is crazy before that. Because the Philistines at that time, were attacking, and they would want to steal the Ark of the Covenant and all this kind of stuff. So David goes and gets it, and instead of David doing it correctly, because it was prescribed as to how the Kohathites were supposed to handle the things that were in the tabernacle, and so it was very, very specific. They were supposed to carry them on their shoulders. So anything that they took care of, like the Ark of the Covenant specifically, they were to carry it on their shoulders. And so David said, "No, we're going to build a cart for it, and we're going to carry it on a cart." So they did that, and the Uzzah, which was a Kohathite, when they hit a bump, reached out to grab the Ark of the Covenant so it wouldn't fall to the ground, and it immediately killed him. And so David got angry at that, and they took it to Obed-Edom's house, is who they took it to. And because he was like, "Yeah, I can't bring this into Jerusalem, so we're going to leave it at Obed-Edom's house." So he did, and then Obed-Edom's house was blessed because the presence of God was there.
Yeah.
So then David goes back and gets it, and he does it correctly. And what's interesting about when he went back to get it, they're carrying it on their shoulders. Every 6 steps, they would stop and
fall down and make a
sacrifice to the Lord.
Wow.
Every 6 steps, dude. Like how many animals got sacrificed in that process?
Seriously.
Yeah, every 6 steps.
I wonder how. I'm sure we could probably look at
how long. I don't know, but Dave was like, "Yeah, I think we're going to do this right," and probably overdo it, a little bit, because that really you don't read where that was prescribed, But anyway, so this was written by the sons of Korah. Now, what's interesting about Korah is that Korah led a rebellion in the Exodus during the Exodus. So you always hear about, and you hear that reference later. I think maybe in the book of Jude, or let's see, 1st, 2nd, 3rd John, Jude, Revelation. So maybe it's in Jude. But anyway, it talks about Korah's rebellion, or the rebellion of Korah. And so in the Exodus, you've got Korah's rebellion where Korah led, and he was a Levite, led a rebellion against Moses and Aaron. And he raised it up against them, and they shouldn't be an authority over them. And
is that when the earth cracks?
And dude, and so
awesome.
God says, "Yeah, all right, I'll take care of that." And the earth opens up and swallows them all, and closes back up. So, yeah, go ahead and go and lead that rebellion, bro.
Yes, and Jude.
Yeah, let the earth swallow you up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I knew that Jude referenced Korah's rebellion.
Jude referenced it. It looks like it was originally in Numbers.
Yeah, number 16. Yep, number 16. So, so what's cool about that is that the sons of Korah obviously saw that happen and took a different route. To where that their dad was leading a rebellion against what God was doing. Sons were like, I think we're gonna go a different route because we don't want to get swallowed up by the earth. and so they led a different route, and become the author of
the 6 or 7 Psalms. I can't remember how many it is.
A good number.
It's not that many, but
a good number of the songs. And they were, and again, they were leaders in the tabernacle and eventually in the temple.
Yeah, that's awesome. Super cool. We did have a great question that was asked, and I think really kind of brings it down to earth. It's the practical question that we wrestle with on this side of heaven. But they asked, thank you for helping me see the place money should have in my life, the biblical place. Money can, however, cause me to worry, and it can cause me to be prideful. Worry and pride are equally sinful. So how do I keep this in check on a daily basis? I want to keep a biblical view of money and not allow it to drive me or derail me. So yeah, great question. How do we balance that worry and pride in our life with also understanding that money is God's and that He's in control and we're sitting here to steward it? All of that kind of balance.
So let's do this. So I'm going to throw that back to you guys.
Oh, no.
Because I think, well, I'll answer it as well, but I think my view at 61 is probably different than it would have been at 31.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So how would you all answer that question?
John,
Because you all are at different places in your lives, and your wiring and your makeup is different, right?
Yeah.
So, anyway, so I won't say any more. So, how would y'all answer that question?
Yeah. I love that we talk about things like this. It makes me sad when we don't talk about stuff like money, sex, other relationships in the church, in the place that we're supposed to be developed and taught on these things so that we can thrive.
Yeah.
So it's not a surprise that our people feel very
you got to give me a heads up so I can hit the
with it.
bleep next time you
Yeah,
say
no
that.
doubt, dude. Yeah,
sorry.
we
Is
missed
this
that. Back up.
It's PG-13. PG-13. We get into some real
As
things.
you're talking about being comfortable talking about it.
Should money be bleeped every time?
Yeah,
Some people
maybe.
would think it should be.
Maybe.
But people get uncomfortable with it because we don't talk about it in the place that they should be learning about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's all the old pastorisms. Jeff probably might have used some of these, but Jesus talks more about money than heaven and hell combined. 1 in every 10 verses in the New
Right.
Testament is about money. I didn't confirm any of those, but it's clear in the scriptures that Jesus talks.
Neither did all the pastors.
Yeah, no, they just got it.
So
They just got it from somebody else and thought it was good. Yeah.
like, dude, I like that.
But the truth is that Jesus talks about money a lot because it goes so clearly to what our heart is after and what we're worshiping, and this whole idea that you can't have two masters. So for me, like, man, that was a part of my own story. Like, I felt called to ministry from an early age, but ran away from that because I wanted to pursue the American dream and I wanted to be in control of my life. I wanted to make a lot of money. I wanted to be a good Christian and do good things and tithe and stuff, but also wanted to have some control over my life. So for me, when it really shifted was when I saw that God didn't need my money. Number one,
Yep.
like, yes, obviously we got bills to pay. Like, I look at spreadsheets all day. We have ministry to do. Like, we need some money to do that. But at the end of the day, God doesn't need our money. And then when I saw that what God was ultimately after was my heart, and that any good gift that He gives me, whether that's money, whether that's my gifts, my talents, just blessings that He gives me, all of those good gifts are given to me to steward for His glory. So when I start to see that, man, this money, it ain't about me. Any money that I have is meant to be for Him, and I'm supposed to be a steward of it. That just takes all the pressure away from me.
Yeah.
I don't got to make a whole bunch of it. Like, yes, we should be wise. We should be grateful for what we get. But ultimately, this is just a good gift from God that I'm called to steward.
Yeah.
So that gives me peace with it. And it's a good reminder in the moments that I do want to run after it, that I do want to stare at my retirement account or my bank account and wish that it was higher. It reminds me of, man, at the end of the day, I steward this, and I either steward it for this life or I steward it for the next. So I want to steward it well, but at the same time, it's not the end all be all.
Yeah, absolutely. Just experience wise, for where we're at, I've realized it's so easy in the kind of early phases of life, like you said, in 30s, 20s, 30s, like trying to figure out how to handle money, how to balance money, bringing kids into the mix. Like, how does this work? There's been times that we have not done it well, and we're probably still not doing it great. But what I've realized is when we get to those moments of like, how in the world am I going to pay this?
Right.
Like, I haven't done a great job saving maybe, or maybe we're just in a season of like, I just paid this big bill and now we've got little to nothing. It's always in those moments that God shows up. So I think it's for me, it's a lot of times a reminder that like, it's my job, like you said, to steward my money well. I don't know who Stewart is still, but
Stewart's
Great guy.
Stewart's a pretty sharp dude.
Stewart.
Maybe it's Stuart Knowles.
It's Big
Might
Stu.
be.
Maybe it is.
Stu.
He's a great guy, so maybe it's Big Stu.
so we've got a steward it well.
Steward.
Yeah. But also hand in hand with understanding, like, as we steward it well, there's still going to be like, we still live
Right.
in a world that requires finances, but that things sometimes don't work the way we want them to. It's the times that like, I might, honestly, it's probably more of the times that probably shouldn't take out a car loan to buy this car right now, but I really want it and it's the perfect one.
Yeah.
It's always when you make that decision, the next week something happens.
Yeah.
But still, even in those moments, God's faithful with that. And I think it's just a matter of understanding that he's in control of it all. It's not our money to begin with. So be good stewards, but also trust his provision in the midst of that.
Yeah.
Because we've gone to the worry side too of like, oh no, like how are we going to get this or this bill paid, or how are we going to make this year work with, whatever it may be. But God still, he's faithful through all of that. Yeah.
No, I think that's great. I think being at the place in life where I am now, just age wise, there's always that tension between planning and, being not necessarily being a good steward, but like planning, trying to look ahead. How far down the road do you look?
Mm-hmm.
And then this tension of Jesus teaching the disciples to pray when he said, "Give us this day our daily bread."
Mm-hmm.
And so you've got this. It's a reality. Like Jesus really wants us to depend on him for the day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like I hear that, and you go, how many of us are planning our finances right now, thinking about our finances right now, that we have enough for today?
Mm-hmm.
And then tomorrow, I'll ask the Lord for tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Because he doesn't say, give us this month, give us this year, give us this decade. He said, give us this day our daily bread.
Yeah.
So you got this expectation that Jesus, I think, creates to say, listen, trust me for the day. Because tomorrow has enough worries of its own. Yesterday's gone. Just live in the moment. Because I think so many times we don't live in the moment, and we miss so many things because we're looking ahead so far.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the flip side of that is all the finance wired guys like John and others who just normally think this way are going to say, "Yeah, but you got to go to Proverbs, dude. You got to read about the ants, and the ants, they're not sluggards, and they work hard. They store up for the winter, and they do this. And so see there, like that gives me the justification that it's okay for me to build this nest egg."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you wrestle with this tension of, am I trusting in what I've set aside for myself, or am I trusting in God to provide for me daily? So I think there's always going to be that tension in our life. And I don't think there's an answer to that, because I think it's both and, not either or.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do think the struggle, and I'll just talk personally about this, because I think the struggle is always, and it really was related. Like I could give so many personal illustrations in a topic like this because of the way I was raised versus the way like Julie was raised, because I was raised in a family that didn't have anything. Like when I say that, that's not hyperbole. Like literally the stories that I tell don't bother me now to tell them, because I look back on them and it's just how we lived. But somehow, and I don't know how my parents did this, and I think my mom did this more than dad, but somehow my mom created this environment, and maybe it was just God's protection and provision, that I never thought we didn't have anything. Like I never thought for a minute as a child that we were poor. Like I didn't go to school thinking, oh, we're the poor kids and everybody else, has stuff that we don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Like even when I got into high school and I started recognizing things, like I knew I didn't have a car at 16, but we lived 8 blocks from the school.
Yeah.
We just walked. Like I'm good. My brother had a Chevy Vega that leaked oil like everybody else's Chevy Vega did. And so he and I, that's what we hung out in, And so when he let me, I'd ride to school with him. Not I walked. Like I didn't think about that. All my buddies had Jeeps and whatever else. But I just didn't think about that. Now, I think what I did is I probably took the road of subconsciously that, okay, my identity is definitely not in that. Now, this is before I was a believer.
Mm-hmm.
So my identity and my value is going to be in athletics. So I'm going to be so much better than you guys at this that's going to be who I am. And so when I look back on it, like I hung with all those dudes, and all those guys wanted to be my friend. Like we were all buddies, but they just lived a different life. And I just thought, well, that's your life. This is my life. Look what so my identity was wrapped up so much in that, and I remember those guys talking about going to Hilton Head on vacation. And I'm like it's an island, like Gilligan's Island. Like how's that work? Like I couldn't even, because we never went on a vacation. So I couldn't fathom, what are they talking about? And they talked about going to Keeneland and to the race, to the, in Lexington, going to the horse races and things like that. I'm like, why you want to go sit and watch horses run around a truck? Like, how much fun is that? But again, in all of that, like I never can ever remember going to school and thinking, man, I can't believe we're the poor kids. Because that just wasn't an issue, but then then I met Julie, and Julie's life was completely opposite. They were very, her dad did well. So like they never lacked for anything. And so getting kind of introduced to that side of the world was like, dude, how does this work? It was just like, this is crazy. Like I'll never forget. And you guys heard me say this, dude, and I'm telling you, this is not a ministry. Like this is not preacher talk. Like I can, like it was yesterday, because I didn't have a car in college. So here I am dating Julie, and we have to drive her car. Like, how cool is that? I'm telling you, man, y'all don't even know. Like, Julie needs, like, she needs so much praise for putting up, for like falling in love with a guy like me. But anyway,
oh, we know.
Yeah, you guys do know.
It was the earring and the mullet.
No, I didn't. No. I didn't have any of that. She met me after Jesus, after Christ. So, but I'll never forget pulling up to the bank, and I wish I could remember the name of the bank in Jeff City where Carson Newman is. And her saying, hey, I got to go by the bank. And I'm like, okay. Like, what's up with that? And she like went to the bank and pulled out a checkbook and wrote a check and, cashed a check. And I'm like, how's that work? Like, what are you doing? It's like, well, I have an account here. Like, you got a bank account? I'd never had a bank account.
Right.
She's like, yeah. I said, like, you don't work? Well, no, my parents put money in it for me. Mm-hmm. Like, what? Like, you're kidding me. Like, your parents give you money? Well, yeah. I'm like, man, like what's that all about? Like that just, it literally blew my mind. Now I was on scholarship. Everything was taken care of for me. And that's what my dad told me. He said, look, and he took me down there and made sure everything was taken care of. He's like, you're good, Jethro. Here's a trash can and an alarm clock. See you later. Let me know how it goes. That was okay. And I go do life.
Yeah.
And then I'm seeing this other whole world that like people like set their kids up well and give them money so that they'll have money during the week. And like my parents, but they never did that because they couldn't do that. Mm-hmm. But I never thought, man, I can't believe that. And I don't, but the flip side of that was, okay, I'm going to work harder here because I'm going to be this guy. And so then when I became a Christian, like all that began to change because now my identity was in Christ, right? But then, like you go out, you actually like get a job. You start making some money. I'm like, dude, what's up? Like, this is pretty cool, And then you kind of start
whatever I want with this.
So yeah. So then like she and I are married growing up. Her perspective of it is completely different than mine because, she lived with it. Like anybody that's probably listening to this, on a, not extravagantly, but just, they had what they needed. And here I am kind of just being introduced to this world of finance. So you can imagine what it looked like for me early, trying to figure out how do you manage that? How do you not just go out? The first thing I did when I got a job was went and bought a car.
Yeah.
Didn't need it. We had a car. But I'm like, you know what? I'm buying a brand new car. And I did. And it was a Mercury Sable. I bought it right before we went to seminary.
That's so cool.
A Mercury 4-door.
I know, you could have picked out a cooler car.
Dude, no doubt. A
was
4-door.
It blue?
No, it was dark gray.
Okay.
4-door Mercury Sable. Picked it out. And it's like, why did you do that? Why was that the very first thing that I did? Because all of my life, I was in the garage working with my dad, fixing old cars so we would have something to drive.
Holding up that transmission.
Holding up the transmissions. I'm like, you know what? When I And so that's the first thing I did.
Yeah.
If that's the smartest thing to do, going to seminary? No. But I'm like, hey, that's what we're going to do. Now, to Julie, she was like, I was like, and this was kind of the danger of us early. I want to buy a new car. And she'd be like, okay. What? Okay, great. Because to her, that was not uncommon in her family. But for me, dude, that was such a big deal. And getting that car, so like taking care of it. So I got into the automobile trap early in my life because my identity kind of got wrapped up in, okay, then minivans came out. Well, now we got to have a minivan. So I trade that car in, get a minivan. Well, then something else would come out. The SUVs came out. Well, we got to get an SUV.
It's like a cool minivan.
Yeah. It's like, man, a minivan with a hood. Like, we got to get that, And so, like, I kind of got into that trap of, again, just, and not understanding what I was doing until somebody finally, a godly man finally that at a car dealership said, that was a dad of a friend of mine, said, hey, man, let's just stop and look at this. Say, here's what you've done over the last 5 or 6, 7, 8 years. And here's what it's doing to you. So, man, let's, and he was awesome, man. Helped me see something, stepped in, helped me see kind of what was happening, and kind of helped change a path for me on that. You see what I'm saying? So, because I didn't have any education in any of that, I just didn't. But the temptation all through your life is always going to be to find your identity in something other than Christ.
Yeah.
And so what you end up doing, and this is what I found myself doing early in ministry, is I would demonize the things I didn't have. And so I didn't have money, and I didn't have nice things, and I didn't have that stuff. So I was the guy early in my ministry that would preach against those things because I didn't have them. So if I didn't have them, they had to be bad. And so, I'll never forget being at a retreat center early in my ministry and seeing Charles Stanley and his team pulling up to do their staff retreat at Hidden Lake in Dahlonega, Georgia, and them coming in Mercedes-Benz. And me just saying, well, that's just wrong. That's just wrong. You shouldn't be. I bet they got those Mont Blanc ink pens too. I bet they're, And so you begin to demonize the things that you don't have.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of understanding kind of their place. So I think over time, we all have to struggle with that because there's always going to be things in our life and this is what you guys got to know. This is what I would want our listeners to know. There are always going to be things in your life that Satan wants you to cling to find your identity in. Okay. And all of us are different. So for you, it could be a guitar, right? Man, I love this guitar. If I just had that guitar, if I just had this, just had that, if I just had that car, if I just had that. And again, nothing's wrong with any of those things. If I could just be on a world team, if I could just be on this team, like for me, that was my issue. Thankfully, Christ stepped into my life before that got too deep. And I just went to seminary instead. But any of those things we can easily pursue, So and even now, even in my life now at 61, where my life looks much different than it did when I was 31, there's still the tendency to go, okay, now that you can afford or do some of these things, it's not like that ever goes away. But I can tell you this. It's easier now at my phase of life to look at something and enjoy it and not see any identity in it at all. It's just a thing, it's just a thing. Like when I was 18 years old, man, the thought of going to Hilton Head was just like going to Gilligan's Island. Like I don't even understand it, Now I get to go and it's like, okay, it's not that. I mean, it's a blessing, but it's not like, hey, look at me, I get to go to Hilton Head. It's like, man, I go there, you go where you go, where you go, and man, that's awesome. It's just not a part of who I am.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the older you get, the older in Christ you get, not necessarily chronologically age. I think the easier it is to just look at stuff and realize, man, it has its place. Something that I talk about that I've tried to do in my life over the years is force myself to see like finances and possessions, very utilitarian. Like houses, where you live, what you drive, very utilitarian.
Yeah.
So if you have a utilitarian view of those things, man, they have a purpose.
Yeah.
We can't just live in this world and say, I'm not going to use money. Well, you're not going to do things, We have to have it to function. But it's got a purpose. It has its use. And when you get it beyond that, that's when it starts to get dangerous,
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I've noticed since being here, and this isn't to like put Lebanon down by any means, but people like just the culture in Lebanon is a very spendy culture. People like to spend money, and that's not across the board. That's not everybody, but and I think a lot of that stems from a comparison side of money. Of there's a lot of people who are doing pretty well in Lebanon. There's people who are doing well in our church. And so if I'm going to be friends with them or if I'm going to keep up with them, then I've got to have the same stuff that they have. And so then that comparison can easily lead to worry that I'm not matching up, or then when I get something, pride. So there's that balance of worry and pride in there. I think it's just a difficult thing to wrestle with.
Yeah.
But I think a great practical way that I've seen this kind of counteracted, my pastor at our church in Raleigh was a kind of a very financially minded guy, and he helped us kind of start getting into how do I budget? How do I budget my money? What does a budget look like?
Yeah.
And I noticed on the budgeting spreadsheet that he gave us when we started walking through it, one of the line items in the budget was giving to others.
Yeah.
There was no specific like what I'm giving or how I'm giving it or what this looks like, but a piece of our income every week or every month was budgeted to be given to somewhere. And just the intentionality of that, of having, like, I know that I'm getting money, but I'm intentionally giving this portion of my money.
Yep.
There's obviously the giving to church as well and trusting God with that. But then just giving to others. And so when that's in the budget and like, man, I've got, even if it's $200 a month, like, I've got $200 that maybe I'm going to buy somebody behind me's groceries or meal at McDonald's or gas or whatever it may be. Just something simple. I know that I have a portion of my money that I'm giving to someone else to benefit them and to show, hopefully, maybe even open a door to show them love or show them grace.
Right.
And on a day that they need it. And a lot of times that even opens the door to share the gospel with them too.
Well, and I think that's what giving to church is all about. I think giving to church is all about training us to be generous.
Yep.
I don't think it has anything to do with God, like John said before, God needing our money.
Yep.
God doesn't need our money.
Yep.
So then why did he set a system up to where he encourages us to give to the body? Well, he's just training us to be generous.
Yep.
Right. Well, like he wants us to be generous people, to be hilarious givers, to be generous givers, to find joy in giving to others.
Right.
Because that's when we understand, man, and we're not. And I think the part of that training is training us not to hold on to that stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's just stuff. I mean, Christ can turn around and give it to you just like that. If he needs it. So I really do, to your point. And again, you learn that. It's great to learn it early.
Yeah.
But you see it even more. And I think it's easy to be generous to the people that you love. I think it's more difficult to be generous to the people you don't even know.
Right.
Right. And I think that's where now you got to flip that with good stewardship as well.
For sure.
Right. You don't just waste, but at the same time, I think generosity is a huge piece of that puzzle.
Yeah. So for us, like, again, early in our marriage, I was working at Chick-fil-A, working for a church plant that I wasn't getting paid for, in seminary. Like, we weren't making, we weren't making a lot of money, but with the limited money that we had, we knew what our income roughly was. And then budgeting a piece of that, I think it just early on showed us and reminded us what John was talking about. This money isn't ours.
Right.
Like, it's ours to steward, and it's ours to steward well. But when we're giving our money away that we're working for, it's just a constant reminder that this is the Lord's money that we have the opportunity to steward.
Yeah.
And then also too, I think that, again, with this concept, regardless of where we are in life, when we make that conscious choice, it's a reminder that, again, the money's not ours to begin with.
That's
so there's utilities to be paid. There's bills to be paid. Like, we can't say, this world's not my home, so I'm just not going to pay my electric bill.
Right. Go ahead, try that.
Like, that's part of the budget too.
Yeah.
But understanding that we work But our work is an opportunity to share the gospel and to be ministers of the gospel, like we're about to talk about in this next series coming up. But then also, like, we work for the money. The money has to be given to the practical things, but then also, like, it's not just about how much money I have or how much stuff I have or worrying about getting that next thing. I think the worry is putting it in God's hand. The pride is also understanding that it's God's and putting it in it.
Well, and moving from, okay, so, because there's so much we could talk about in this topic, because I think back in my early ministry days, the whole financial teachings were really kind of coming on the scene. Mm-hmm. So Larry Burkett was really one of the early guys that did like financial stuff. And he was before any of the other guys. And Larry Burkett was actually in Dahlonega, Georgia. Mm. So he was a part of my first church plant that I was ever a part of. Yeah. And here's this guy who's the financial guru at the time that owned this Hidden Lake, training center. And my buddy worked for him. And so Larry would come and be a part of what we did. Awesome guy. But he was before Ron Blue. He was before Financial Peace. He was before Dave, like any of those guys, So you got all that stuff, which is great. But if you're not careful, that kind of stuff can get you to trust in yourself and your budgeting skills and not the Lord. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So there's a balance in all of that it's good. It's always both and, not either or. Right. So, and because, you're budgeting for the future. So you can move from identity. And so, okay, now I'm not going to find my identity in those things. But then the second biggest hurdle, I think, is confidence. Mm. What am I putting my confidence in? Am I putting my confidence in the fact that man, like I've planned well, we spend and save well, so we got this over here, so we're good. So my confidence, I feel good. Mm-hmm. That's not right. Mm.
I think that's what's getting at the heart of Jesus' call to us in the Lord's Prayer to pray for your daily bread.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, he wants us to have our confidence in him and what he's going to provide, not in how big our bank account is.
Yeah. But we all know how you feel when you online. Mm-hmm. And, man, how horrible is that we can check our balance every time we can, every time we want to. Yeah. And you go, oh, okay, I'm good. Yeah. Oh man, it's okay. You know what I mean? Like, that's how easy it is. Mm-hmm. For us to, and think about this. Think about if we were in the desert. What a great model for us. Jesus said, look, man, I got you. I'm going to feed you. I'm going to take care of you. You're going to get enough for the day. And if you get more than enough, it's going to spoil. Mm-hmm. And they would go out and get more because that's just our nature. And it would spoil. But then on the Sabbath, I'm going to give you enough. You can get enough for 2 days. Yeah. And so he trained them, man, give us this day our daily bread. He was talking about the manna. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And to think that there were two ways that God provided for them, supernaturally and naturally. Quail would come in the evenings, and they would have meat, and then the bread would come up from the ground. So God's like, I got you naturally, and I got you supernaturally. Like, there are times, like, you're going to have a job. I'm going to provide you income that you're going to work for, natural provision, but then there's a supernatural provision I got for you as well. Yeah. So you got to learn to trust me in both and balance both of those. Mm-hmm. It's hard. Like, I'm not saying it's easy and anybody figures it out, because it's all relative. Because the guy that's got $40 million in the bank freaks out when it goes down to 39. Mm-hmm. Yep. To where we have 4,000 and we freak out when it goes down to 3. You know what I mean? So it's all relative. Yep. Mm-hmm. It's not like I don't think there's ever I could be wrong, but my assumption would be that there's never a place you get in your life financially that you feel like you're good. Mm-hmm. Because if you get more, you just gonna worry about it. Yep. And that's relative to whatever level you're living in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think another point that I thought about when you were talking about kind of your growing up, like your parents grew up in a time, like you said, you didn't have a bank account. Credit cards weren't invented until the 50s or 60s, and they weren't really normalized until probably 70s or 80s. And so you grew up in a time your parents never had a credit card growing up, and then you didn't have a bank account, so you definitely didn't have a credit card. So you're having to function and learn how to budget cash. Like, you're budgeting the money that you physically have in your hand. Now we live in a world where everything is so accessible. Like, kids have credit cards so early, and they're buying things that they don't even have the money and hoping I think everybody gets a credit card thinking, well, I'm going to use the credit card and immediately pay it off. So it's basically like a debit card.
Yeah.
And then the more you spend it, the more that often doesn't happen.
Right.
But we're spending money we don't have. We have access to see what everybody else has. Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram. Like you've got these social media presences that are like this perfect looking house and perfect life. It's like, well, I have to get that. Well, the way to get that is to buy things. So then I'm going to use this credit card to buy something that I don't have money to buy. And then a lot of times that causes us to be very selfish with our money, very reserved. And often it causes us to, we were talking about this last week, but to not even want people to come to our houses because we're worried about what they're going to think our houses look like.
Yeah.
And so like I've noticed that at times in different places I've been of like, we don't get invited places unless we're close friends and they know us. And sometimes people are shocked that we invite them to our houses. And it's like, this is what we're called to do, is to live life together. That's outside of, the church side of that is great, but also outside of church, like inviting friends over to our house and building a relationship. Like that's when walls come down. But we've got such an opinion of what our house is or our lives should look like that we're scared to even invite people over.
Yeah.
So then that leads to that kind of pride and worry side of things.
Absolutely.
Well, good. Anything else on that? I think it's been a great conversation.
Yeah. Well, I think this Psalm has such good practical principles in it. Like he goes in to say, like you can't redeem yourself.
Yeah.
You can't pay your own ransom. Like I thought that was a huge deal when even they had this idea and concept of ransom before Jesus ever came to be our ransom payer. And this whole idea, and I'll tell you how I got to that sermon title is, one of my really good friends here in the church who's done well financially just asked me one day, he said, man, I just got to ask you a question. Like this verse says, it's really difficult for rich people to get into the kingdom of heaven. So what's up with that? He said, I said, well, he said, no, it says what it says. He says it doesn't. He says, I mean, and he's right. It says what it says. But Jesus goes on to say, what's impossible with man is possible with God.
Yeah.
It's not impossible, but it can only happen through a transformation of Christ, right? And I love doing some research and realizing that even I have utilized that illustration incorrectly, because we like to say it's the smaller gate of the larger gate of the city. So the camel can do it. He just has to hunker down and get rid of his baggage, and then he can make it through. Well, that's our effort.
It's all based off their effort.
Yeah, it's because the old school, that's how we would teach that. Like if you try harder, you can do it. But Jesus said something was impossible.
Yep.
And that's why the disciples responded and said, well, if that's the case, who can be saved? Because they weren't wealthy at all. They weren't referring to themselves. They just saw Jesus saying something was impossible. And so it is possible, but it's possible through only what Christ can do for us. He is our ransom payer.
Yep.
And I think that's what this sons of Korah, like they got it. Like we can't pay our ransom.
Yeah.
And you can't pay your ransom, even though it doesn't matter how, So this idea of, man, my identity, all that I am, like it doesn't matter what I have. It has its purpose, and its purpose is not for my eternity.
Yeah.
We don't try to build here the best place. This isn't our best life. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't have air conditioning in my house and I don't have, a decent car, like again, it's not demonizing those things, and it's not, but it is looking at things and realizing, man, what can I do? What makes sense for me to be a good steward of the resources that I have, and to make sure that I'm being generous and using those things for God's glory. Because if I'm not, then I can say all I want to about who I am in Christ. Man, my identity's wrapped up in that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. And the flip side of that too, if I mentioned it on Sunday during worship, but on the worry side of like, I'm just in this difficult season of life and, may not have the funds to pay the bill or whatever it may be. The study, I looked it back up to remind myself, since I didn't do the studying ahead of time when I started talking. But it's worship and anxiety. So when we worship, there is a chemical that's produced in our brain that actually cannot exist there at the same time that the same chemical that or a different chemical, but what anxiety produces. So when we're anxious, there's something in our brain that that causes that and that's present. But when we worship, they literally cannot be.
They can't coexist.
They can't coexist. They can't be in the same brain at the same time. And so a lot of times, again, understanding that this world isn't our home, that God has our back, that He's going to be faithful, even if we don't understand what that looks like. A lot of times when we start to deal with that worry of how is this going to work out, understanding and trusting Him and just praising Him through that. Like, you know what, you've taken care of me so far, and I know that you're going to in this. So I thank you for what I do have. I thank you for, life today. I thank you for my family, whatever it may be. When we start to praise and thank Him for all that He is and all that He's done for us, it changes our perspective on what that looks like.
Yeah. So, and I can tell you guys this, and y'all know this, and I'm not old by any stretch of the imagination. Well, I am old. I'm getting older, but I'm not 80. But at 61 years of age, He is faithful. Trust me, because we've been through difficulties. We've been through financial difficulties. We've had surprises and things we had to do where God just said, man, I'm going to show up. Yeah. And so God is faithful. Yeah. Like, don't ever forget that. And that's the word I want anybody that's listening to hear that, whatever age you are. Yeah. Man, He is faithful. Yeah. And He always comes through.
Awesome.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, the idea that I've been thinking through this entire time as I've been sitting back here listening to you guys is like, when God talks about money, at the end of the day, like what He's coming back to is He wants for Him to be our greatest treasure.
That's right.
Like it's a value thing for Him.
Yeah.
When we value Him above all else, it makes everything else come into perspective, and everything else is balanced. Because we can have good things,
right?
But He's the ultimate, and He's better.
Yep.
And if those things get ripped away, then who cares? I don't place my ultimate hope in that. If I die one day, praise God, I get something better.
Yeah.
So all the anxieties, all the worries go away if we've got the right perspective. If He's the one that we treasure, that we value, that we adore, that we worship most. Which is why it says, where your heart is, there also your treasure is.
That's right.
Yeah.
So if your heart's in your money, man, it's just not going to work out for you. But if your ultimate treasure is the Lord, everything else makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. One last thing, do y'all have any great tools for budgeting? If anybody's listening to this and like, man, I'm just kind of winging it right now.
Yeah.
Is there any tools that you guys have? Do y'all have a great budgeting system? Or even if there's someone listening, it's like, hey, I'd love to help someone with this that may ask. Do y'all know of anything offhand? If not, I can cut this out. But
I think there's all kinds of tools that are created now.
Yeah.
I mean, when we got married, when Justin and me got married, we just had a simple Google sheet that we shared between each other.
Yeah.
And we would go in and manually, we would create our budget. And I think your example of planning for generosity is such a beautiful one. I think planning in and of itself isn't bad.
Right.
Our problem is when we plan without God.
Yeah.
God calls us to be generous because He wants us to display how generous He was. Like, look how generous He was to us in the gospel.
Yeah.
So, of course, when we plan, though, our finances through budgeting, we should plan in a way that's keeping in mind how He wants us to plan. So, budgeting for generosity is great because it gives us the ability to plan. And when our flesh doesn't want to give something, maybe we know that we've got a plan. And so we feel a little bit better about it. Now, of course, you can get in control and feel like you're just planning to be in control.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
But I think that was a great example. So yeah, we just did the Google Sheet kind of way for a while. And then recently, I don't get paid for this, but we started using this app called Monarch. And so you have to connect it with your bank accounts. But you set up your budget, and then it basically automatically connects your receipts toward the budget account that it should go to, and you can go back in and review things. But it tracks your cash flow. You can track your net worth if you want to add all kinds of stuff into it. But it's basically a tool that made us where we didn't have to go in and enter in every single receipt manually. It helped to do it for us. And so there's other apps like that. I think Dave Ramsey's got one that's similar to that. Quicken might have one, but it just helps us to have an eye on where our budget is so that we can make quick decisions whenever a decision needs to be made. Hey, should we do this? Oh, I'm not sure. Where are we at with our budget? Boom, boom, boom. Oh, yeah, we've got the money to do this. Or no, we probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I would say, and I've noticed this, that we bank through Truist, used to be SunTrust.
And a lot of the banks are coming out with stuff like that
now. The Truist
now.
app automatically categorizes your spending.
Oh, cool.
And you go and look at it, and it's got it in a pie chart for you, and you can see, okay, this much was spent on groceries, this much was spent on whatever. And it's not 100% accurate,
Yeah.
but it's close enough to where you can look at it and go, oh my goodness, man. Like, wow, and so you can see that. So I think they just call it insights, financial insights or something like that on their website. So a lot of banking websites kind of provide some tools like that for you.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I will say this, and I think we've got to figure out how to do a better job with this. And I've talked to some of these people. We've got people in our church who have done well financially, and they have a heart to help people do well financially. We got to connect the dots between getting them comfortable enough to, because this is a thing that I hear from these people, which I think is awesome. They would love to help people, shore up that part of their life, but they would never want to feel like they're coming in as an expert,
As the expert, yeah.
or they're bragging about what they've been able to do.
Yeah.
So there's that tension again between, man, I really want to help. I'm thinking of several people in my mind who have told me great stories of how God's worked in their life. But it's like, I would just feel weird saying this because it sounds like I'm saying I did something. And that's not at all what they're trying to do. So we got to figure out how to connect those dots, because I'm telling you, man, we've got some people in our church who've really, God's done some super things in their life, and they've learned things. They have great principles to help people with. We just got to connect those dots.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff. Well, we'll see what we can do to help that. If there's anybody who wants help with any of these things, feel free to reach out and we'll try to get you connected or help out. But thank you guys for listening. Thanks, John, for joining us.
Thanks.
See you next week. Last Sunday in the Psalms this Sunday.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Summer's almost over.
Kicking off our
into the
new
fall.
series, man. It's crazy. Summer's over.
Good stuff. We'll see you guys next week.